Turkish Airlines is a great airline. They have some of the best food in the sky. Beautiful modern 787s and A350s. An amazing lounge in Istanbul. But sometimes everything is stacked against an airline. It's hard to have great food outside of your home airport when you use one of, if not the worst lounge in the US, and flying on a dated 777 with an older, completely uncompetitive business class product. And yet, with all of that against them, I still had an amazing flight on Turkish. What's it like to fly on Turkish in arguably the worst set of circumstances? Let's find out on this trip from Chicago to Istanbul. Turkish departs from Terminal 5 at O'Hare, and I needed to check in person because they needed to check my visa for a country far, far away where I was ultimately going on this trip. The baggage allowance is 16 kilograms for business class across 2 items. My suitcase was 9 kilograms, but that was okay, as in total, I was under 16. After security, I had the choice of 2 lounges. Because Turkish departs from Terminal 5, you can't go to United Polaris Lounge in Terminal 1 without taking the people mover and re-clearing security. That is an option, and I know people do it, but I came to the airport straight after work and didn't have time. I first went to the SAS Lounge, which I've covered before. They really didn't want to let me in, instead telling me to go to the Swissport Lounge. Adamantly. I'd prepared for this and had pre-pulled up SAS's official lounge access policies, giving access to me on another Star Alliance flight in business class. Finally, the agent relented and let me in, though she did so with some serious sass.
He said it!
The lounge was pretty full before another flight departed, so I wasn't really in a position to film much. But it had some very modest food and wine options. Finally, it emptied out, and I could film a bit. Then I went to the lounge I was supposed to go to, the Swissport Lounge. I've been mocking this lounge for years. Then I was just a priority pass passenger. Here, I was let into a designated area as a business class passenger. Look, I get criticized a lot for being too negative all the time. But this lounge is not okay. It is the saddest, most pathetic business class lounge I've ever been in. Just look at the furniture. The lack of anything meaningful to eat or drink. Hell, random lounges in Peru, Ecuador, or Cambodia are better. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. I've never watched this video, but I know he's complaining about this godforsaken lounge just from the background and the YouTuber face. I at least was able to grab a Sapporo in a bit of foreshadowing for this trip. Forget this being Turkish's problem. Chicago! This needs to be improved in the future. My flight was at gate M14, so now I've left from every single gate in this area, but there's zero view of the plane, even worse than Air France last time. Boarding didn't begin with a bang or even an announcement, but with a mumble. We made it to the jet bridge, but weren't allowed onto the aircraft for quite a while. Do note that, as I've discussed previously, Turkish really doesn't like filming aboard. My seatmate snapped a photo of the cabin and was immediately chastised by a flight attendant. I honestly recommend that you not risk it and not take pictures. So everything you're gonna see moving forward is simply because I'm that sneaky. Business class on the 777 is in a completely uncompetitive 232. That's right, there's a middle seat in business class. Even though I picked a window seat, that means I still have a stranger next to me with no privacy, and I can only get to the aisle by stepping over her legs. Seat controls are a set of buttons in the center console. The armrest has the plug for the headphones, power, and a divider you can raise for a smidge of privacy. There's tons of legroom, and the ottoman serves as a place for your hand baggage. Turkish doesn't offer alcohol on the ground, which is normally a negative, but instead they offer a choice of orange juice, lemonade, or raspberry juice. The raspberry juice is my favorite and is absolutely delicious. One of the features, or gimmicks if you're cynical, of Turkish are their flying chefs, where they dress a few flight attendants up in chef costumes and they handle meal prep and delivery. I was addressed by name by said flying chef, and my meal order was taken on the ground. There was a choice of 2 starters, an optional soup, and 3 mains. Slippers were packaged separately, and the amenity kit was very well stocked, including my favorite eye shades of any airline. Per Turkish tradition, women get a pink kit and men get a blue kit. The rather stylized Turkish safety video played in both Turkish and English, followed by a rather overly dramatic ad featuring the geographical diversity of Turkey, while boiling down to the classic trope of man stalks woman until she falls in love with him.
Hi. Hi.
Flying time to Istanbul was about 10 hours at 37,000 feet. Like my prior flight on the 787, Wi-Fi is free for business class passengers. However, the Wi-Fi is no longer unlimited but is now capped at 1 GB. That's still quite a lot of data, but is a downgrade from being completely uncapped before. The headphones are made by Denon and were fine, and there was a reasonable enough collection of entertainment. However, the screen is just so far away, so even though it is touch, you need to use this rather dated and laggy remote. Service began with a water and a hot towel. To save time, the crew made the bed before the meal was served, which I'll discuss in a bit. Then came champagne and nuts. Turkish's food, catered by Dough & Co., is just in a league of its own, and is reason enough to fly Turkish over other carriers in my opinion. Flights not originating from Istanbul don't have the signature trolley service, but the meal is still served in courses. First, I got the Turkish kol meze of hummus, tabbouleh, and eggplant, all of which were delicious. To set the mood, Turkish even gives you a fake candle for your dining pleasure. Next was the optional asparagus and pea soup that was absolutely phenomenal, really one of the best soups I've ever had on a plane, only matched by the other pumpkin soup I'd had on Turkish before. For a main, I had the beef fillet. It was overcooked for sure, but still managed to be tender enough. The zucchini, pasta, and eggplant ratatouille were all in a pretty unique side that was also quite enjoyable. For dessert, I had 3 baklava. If you get hungry, there's also a in-flight snack menu for the rest of the flight. Then it was time for bed. Bedding on Turkish includes a mattress pad, a blanket, and a pillowcase for the throw pillow. Many people really like sleeping on the 777 over the newer seats on the A350 and 787 because there's no footwell and there's tons of space for your legs and feet. That is true. But the downside is that it's rather tight around the shoulders, even when you clear out more space by raising the privacy screen in the armrest. Honestly, that bothered me just as much. I found the best position was to sleep on my side. Breakfast was served 2 hours prior to landing. Turkish breakfasts are a very involved and tasty multi-course affair, and Turkish Airlines is no exception. We were given a hot towel, and as a first course of fruit, yogurt, cheese and cucumbers, and warm bread. That's just the first course, but all I could stomach, honestly. They kept offering me the second course of either an omelet or French toast, but I just couldn't. I'd had the omelet last time and it was fine, but far too much food. Finally, we began our descent into Istanbul Airport, which is in the middle of nowhere near the Black Sea rather than the Sea of Marmara, and I jokingly say it's basically in Bulgaria. We got a real jet bridge this time, and I spent my 12-hour layover in one of my favorite cities in the world. Turkish has a free stopover program, and I could have gotten a hotel or tour downtown, but I know the city all too well. So Turkish business class in the 777 when not originating in Istanbul. The seats are quite dated, the lounge in Chicago an absolute disgrace, and the food, while excellent, isn't quite as good as out of Istanbul. And yet, it was an absolutely incredible flight. Turkish knows that these seats need to be updated, and they've just unveiled their newest offering, though there's no schedule for when the seats will get replaced. Turkish already has a newer seat on the A350 and 787 that many people despise, but we'll be seeing that in the next video. For you see, this is really part 1 of the review of Turkish Airlines, as in part 2 we'll see arguably Turkish's best product in the best set of circumstances with Turkish's legendary lounge in Istanbul to see how different that may be. Well, I'm having a great time here on my layover before... Wait, what is that music? Oh dear God. You're telling me this entire trip series is based on an incredibly annoying marketing song from one of the most notorious airlines on the planet? Damn right. Fine. Roll the teaser trailer, I guess.
You know what? It's never too late to fly, to places you dream of, to the ones you love. Are you ready? Fly for love with me. Let's go! Fly,